Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Batman? Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, we're taking a look at the DC Multiverse Superman as Batman in Superman Speeding Bullets. And of course, we'll also be doing some head swaps. Starting off with the packaging, and Super Batman comes in a stylish DC Multiverse window box. Name and logo down here. On the side, we see this is Batman from Superman Speeding Bullets. Down here we have the legal, and on the back we have a digital render. I do like the green lighting to add a little bit of extra razzle-dazzle, but I'd also kinda hope we'd seen the last of these, especially considering the incredible figure photography they showed off online. It literally recreated that classic comic cover. As for this, I wouldn't normally dock it, but seeing as how half of my figure photography is just adding colored lights, I'd feel like a hypocrite. For packaging, I'm giving Speeding Bullets Super Batman 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and Speeding Bullets Super Bat stands at 7 1/4 inches. For those who don't know, Superman Speeding Bullets is an Elseworlds story that asks the question, what if Kal-El's rocket ship crashed in Gotham City? Adopted by Thomas and Martha Wayne, the young Bruce's powers activate the night he sees them gunned down in an alley, and he grows up to become Batman, the super-powered defender of Gotham. From the top, and they did a great job of making this look like actual fabric stretched over a face. From the sides, you can see the bulges from the ears and mouth. Stepping back, we can also see what a great job they did on the proportions. No hyper-long legs here. The crest is a nice combination of a bat inside of a yellow diamond. Unfortunate glue glob on mine. Additionally, the diaphragm joint is pretty well integrated. Some ribbing running down the sides. And aside from more claw-like fingers, this is a very traditional Batman glove. The utility belt is a more minimalist approach. Slight amount of paint slop on mine. He's got black trunks, more piping running down the legs, and boots that frankly look like classic Iron Man. Don't believe me? Here you go. Flipping him around and we see all the folds in the cape. Great fabric texture that isn't too overdone. And of course all the scallops at the bottom. Flipping that cape up and here he is from the back. As far as I'm concerned, the proportions on this figure are darn near perfect. If McFarlane wanted to retool this as a base body for either a classic Batman or Superman, I'd be happy as a clam. Either way, it's a great Speeding Bullets figure, all on its own. For presentation, I'm giving Speeding Bullets Super Bats 1 whole point. Moving on to posability, and as usual, Super Bat's head's at a dumbbell joint. You can look up this far, which is great for a flying character. This far down, really great tilt, and all the way around. Swivel hinge shoulders raise up 90 degrees, forward and back with the rotator cuff, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and the new and improved McFarlane wrist ball. Not only can it swivel, it can hinge up this much and down this much. Shifting to the torso, and Batman has a diaphragm joint and a dumbbell waist. He can arch back this far, and in combination with his head, here's a flying pose you can get him in, and he can hunch forward this far, which is honestly pretty good. He can also tilt and twist. Below the waist, and Batman has a typical McFarlane hips. They can kick forward over 90 degrees, and do a perfect split. Fantastic twist at the hip, double jointed knees, toe articulation, and a new and improved McFarlane ankle ball that can swivel, hinge, and pivot. This figure features all the standard points of articulation we're used to from a DC Multiverse, and even the diaphragm joint, which I'm not usually a big fan of, works particularly well here. Again, this body is really good. For posability, I'm giving Speeding Bullets 1 whole point. Before we continue, if you like this video, do me a favor and give it a like. I put a lot of love into my videos, and your likes really do help more people to see them. Moving on to playability, and Super Batman comes with a trading card. Pause here if you want to read it. Since he is technically Superman, he also gets a flight stand and alternate fists. It would have been easy for McFarlane to cheap out one way or the other, but I'm so glad that they didn't. But playability is more than just accessories. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. For Batman, I won't be head swapping on account of they're incompatible. Here he is with 3 Jokers. And then for some other members of the Justice League, and here we have Wonder Woman, John Stewart, The Flash, and Aquaman. For some supporting back characters, and here we have Red Hood, Batgirl, Nightwing, the Mattel Multiverse Tim Drake, and the DC Multiverse Multiverse Damien. For a super supporting character, and here we have Supergirl. For some Superman villains, and here we have Bizarro, General Zod, the Necron Warrior I use for Metallo, and of course Lex Luthor. Moving over to some Batman villains, and here we have the Penguin from The Batman. And why am I interested in this particular Penguin? Cause if you switch out the heads, you have a pretty decent base for a Speeding Bullets Lex Luthor, or just a Silver Age one. Throw on some clown colors and you've got a great Joker-Luthor combination. To be honest, the purple makes for a pretty decent Lex Luthor on its own. But for some proper Joker figures, and here we have the Comedian, Mortal Kombat 11, and my own custom Kip Bash. And then for some more Batman rogues, and here we have Catwoman from Arkham City, Scarecrow from Arkham Knight, Deathstroke from Arkham Origins, Bane, Clayface, and Hush. For some heroes from the House of Ideas, and here we have the Marvel Select Cap, Wolverine, the Silver Surfer, the Mighty Thor, and the Immortal Hulk. For a relative scale comparison, here he is with Pete the Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Those kinda look like my boots. What, these? Oh, well, I assure you they're mine. Oh yeah? What shoemaker do you use? The only shoemaker I swear by is Joel. Joel Shoemaker? Well, I guess he really wanted his shoes back. Of course, Playability is also about head swaps. And since this is both Batman and Superman, it's getting double duty. First up, and here we have Action Comics 1000. This is the quintessential McFarlane Superman sculpt, and I think it looks perfect. Leastways until we get a likeness a little bit closer to John Byrne. Next up, and here we have Cavill from the Snyder Cut. I actually like this one a lot more than I thought I would. Something about seeing Cavill in this costume makes me kinda giddy. Here we have Superboy Prime. This one's a bit on the small side. That's unfortunate because it is a really good sculpt. Here we have Rebirth. This one's just Action Comics 1000 with a different paint job. While we're here though, YouTube user LaFoe asked if I would show off a leg swap between Ultraman and Rebirth. Obviously the boot tops are better. Unfortunately the blues don't match. I'd say just repaint the legs, but you'd honestly be better off just removing the red and repainting the boot tops. Either way, LaFoe, if you're out there, I hope that helped. And then for one of my favorite alternate Superman heads, and here we have Solar Suit. Even though it's not accurate to the comic, this does look pretty cool. The nice thing about a whole head mask is, for all you know, he does have a beard under there. Here we have Page Punchers. This one's alright. Doesn't really fit my image of Superman, but if you like it, here you go. Here we have the Angry Laser Eyes Hush version. I really like this one. It does a great job of capturing the rage that defines that version of the character. And here we have World of War. It's a little bit small, but I don't care. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite heads for swaps. That brings us to Batman. Here is Detective Comics 1000. If you wanted a Batman with his face fully covered, I think this could work. Leastways, the proportions match. Other way around, and meh. Here we have Flashpoint. Given that this is one of my favorite Batman head sculpts, I think it looks cool. Give it a repaint and there's definitely something there. Other way around and throw on some black paint and I think this would look awesome. Here we have Rebirth. As usual, this one is too small, almost comically so in this case, which means that this one is too big. In fact, it even wobbles. Next up is Future State. Still can't find his hand. If you're interested in a more fabric look for this costume, I think that would work, and it honestly scales pretty well. Conversely, if you're interested in a more techie look for this, here you go. Painting the head blue would be cool, but imagine doing the whole thing in black and gray. And for one more, here we have Page Punchers. It's one of my favorite Batman heads, and I think it looks really great here. Maybe a touch small, but the repaint would definitely help blend it together. Other way around, and there's definitely something here. You'll just need to raise the head up a little bit. As far as I'm concerned, the only thing that would improve this figure would be adding more characters from the story. At the end of the story, he abandons the Batman persona and becomes Superman. I'd love a figure of that version, as well as an official version of the Lex Luthor Joker. But even without those extra figures for playability, I'm giving the Dark Knight of Steel one whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Like all basic DC Multiverse figures, Super Batman retails for $20. Considering it's an all-new sculpt with alternate hands and a flight stand, I think that's a pretty good deal. And that's to say nothing of all the head swap potential. For price, I'm giving Speeding Bullets Batman one whole point for a grand total of 5 out of 5. For more Batman head swaps, click here, or for more Superman head swaps, click here. Are you a fan of Speeding Bullets, and are you hoping that they'll make an official Lex Luthor Joker? Sound off in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.